Have you ever wondered if private health insurance is actually worth the money? Well, in this video, we're going to look at private health insurance and whether or not it makes sense from a financial perspective. And more specifically, we're going to give you the tools to look at it yourself and work out, does it make sense for me? G'day there, Phil McGilvray here from the Grandma's Jars Money Skills Academy, where we make practical, life-changing financial education understandable and accessible for everyone. Now, one of the privileges of being a financial coach is that I get to help people every day take control of their finances by setting up budgets that really work. Now, as you would expect, part of this process is identifying what all of their expenses are. And just about every time we go through that process, one big question comes up, and that is, Phil, what do you think about health insurance? Is it really worth it? So in this video, we're going to look at three really important things. Firstly, the government incentives that reward you for having private health insurance. Secondly, we're going to look at the pros and cons for having private health insurance. And third, we're going to look at some simple strategies that will help you reduce the cost of holding on to private health insurance. So let's get stuck straight into it. So let's be absolutely clear, the government absolutely wants you to take on private health insurance to help cover the cost of healthcare in Australia and to ensure that people who genuinely can't afford private health insurance can still get access to the healthcare they need. So to incentivize us to sign up for private health insurance, the government has what I call 3 carrot and stick incentives. First, let me have a look at the carrot incentive. So the first incentive is what I call a carrot because it comes in the form of a rebate. This is basically a discount that the government will give you on your private health insurance premiums as long as your income falls within certain levels. So on the screen here at the moment, I have a table from the Private Healthcare Australia website where you can see that if you're a single and you're earning less than $144,000 a year, you can get a discount of between 8% and 32% on your private health insurance premiums. If you're a couple or a family, if you have an income lower than $288,000 combined income, $288,000, you will also be eligible for a rebate on your private health insurance between 8% and 32%. Now, unfortunately, if you earn over these sorts of levels, then you don't apply for these rebates. But this is an incentive in itself to take on the private health insurance and get that rebate, which makes it just that little bit cheaper. So the next 2 incentives I call sticks because they're not really incentives, they're more like penalties for not taking on private health insurance. And the first of these is the lifetime health cover loading, which basically says for every year after 30 that you delay taking on health insurance, the potential premium that you will pay if you do get it later in life will increase by 2%. So if at 40 you decide to take on health insurance, it's going to be 20% more than it would have been had you taken it on at 30. And if you wait till you're 50, it's going to be 40% more than it would have been had you taken on at the age of 30. So it gets more and more expensive the longer you wait. And of course, this is enough to get people worried and enough people to get people through the door and signing up for private health insurance. So the third and last incentive to get us across the line to take on private health insurance is the Medicare surcharge levy, which is basically an additional tax of between 0.5% and 1.5% levied on income earners who earn as a single more than $93,000 a year and as a couple more than $186,000 a year. If you're earning more than that and you don't have private health insurance, then you will get slugged with this extra tax. You can see on the screen here the table that's on the ATO website giving you the breakdowns of what level income you're likely to hit what level of Medicare surcharge levy. This is important to know because in some cases, you're actually better off having the private health insurance than paying the Medicare surcharge. So it's worth knowing where you sit on this table. Okay, so that's the government incentives. Now let's have a look at the pros and cons of taking on private health insurance cover. Because we all know that the private health insurance companies receive more in premiums than they pay out to us in benefits. So you've got to ask yourself, where is the benefit of having private health insurance? So benefit number one, if you're not much of a budgeter, then having private health insurance can be a little bit like forced savings, putting money aside so that you have a buffer when those health events do arise. Now, of course, private health insurance does not cover all the costs, but it certainly softens a blow when you find you've got some expensive dental work required, or when you need some rehabilitation after an injury, or perhaps when you're having a baby. Health insurance can really make a difference in terms of peace of mind. So if that is you, if managing money isn't your strong suit, then sometimes private health insurance is worth the peace of mind it gives you. Benefit two, with private health insurance, you can often skip the long waiting list that plague the public hospital system to get elective surgery when you need it. Benefit three, which is very similar, you get to choose the doctor or specialist that treats you. And benefit four is that you can often get private rooms, better food, longer waiting hours, all things that make what could be a very negative experience a much more positive one. So let's now have a look at three really big cons associated with having private health insurance. Now, the first of these is that it's expensive. We all know that, and it's getting more expensive every single year. And we're also aware that it's going up faster than our wages are, which means that our private health insurance is becoming a bigger and bigger portion of our household budget every year, which makes it really hard to justify. The second con associated with having private health insurance is that we know that the house always wins. We know that we pay them more in premiums than we're ever going to get back in benefits. So again, makes it very hard to justify. And then the third con is that it's confusing. We know that they're constantly changing their products and the premiums that they charge for those products. And when we are getting older and our needs are changing, it just makes it so hard to stay with the product that is most relevant to our current stage of life. So that makes it, again, a very, very difficult pill to swallow if we're not even sure we've got the right policy and it's too hard to figure it out. Okay, so those are the main pros and cons associated with taking on private health insurance. Now let's take some time to look at some simple strategies you can use to reduce the cost of holding private health insurance. The first strategy is simply to use one of the many tools that are available to compare the different private health insurance companies and the products they offer. A great place to start is the government resource, which is privatehealth.gov.au, which you can see on the screen here. But there are many commercially available companies these days that allow you to make that comparison and will cost you nothing. The second strategy flows on from the first strategy. Once you've got some quotes under your belt, it is worth your while going back to your existing insurance provider to see if they can do a better deal. We all know that our insurance providers, whether it's general insurance or private health insurance, we all know that they offer better deals to new customers than they do to existing customers. So if you can show some proof that you've been away, you've spoken to other insurance providers, and you go back to your existing provider and say, hey, we're looking to move, can you do a better deal? Then typically they will. I have a client who just last week told me that she went to her insurance, a private health insurance provider. She said, hey, we're looking to move, can you do a better deal? And they said to her, we can't reduce your premium, but we can give you 6 weeks free. And if you stay with us till next year, we will give you another 6 weeks free next year. Now, for this client, that was equivalent to about $1,200 that she now gets to keep simply because she asked the question. The third strategy is to drop the extras and to hold on to the hospital cover. A few years ago, Choice Magazine did a full review of the private health insurance sector and came to the conclusion that the extras simply weren't a good investment. But by holding onto the hospital cover, you still get to avoid paying the Medicare levy. You still get the benefits of being able to have elective surgery when you need it. You still get the benefits of being able to choose the doctors and specialists you want to work with. So cutting the extras out can be a great way to reduce your premiums. The fourth strategy is simply to make sure that the policy you currently have is the best one for where you're at right now, to make sure that it is a good fit for your age and stage of life and whatever health issues you may or may not be facing right now. This is really important because too often I see people who set and forget their health insurance policies. They pay the premiums year after year, but that policy is no longer the right fit for their stage of life. So make sure you're reviewing your policies at least every couple of years. So after all of that, is private health insurance worth taking on? Well, if you're under the age of 30, you're healthy, you're earning less than $93,000 as an individual or $186,000 as a couple, and you have a budget in place that allows you to put aside money for future health events, then it's very hard to make an argument for taking on private health insurance. On the other hand, if you are earning over $93,000 as an individual or $186,000 as a couple, and you're getting slugged with the Medicare surcharge levy, then taking on some hospital-only private health insurance may give you all the benefits, or many of the benefits of having private health insurance, and save you a whole bunch of money on tax. And as I said before, if you're not great with money and you do struggle to consistently put money aside for future health events or future unexpected expenses, then having private health insurance can provide you with that financial buffer when those health events do occur. Just make sure, of course, that the policy that you do take on fits your age and stage of life. Now, I will say that my wife and I have had private health insurance since we were married almost 27 years ago. As a former elite marathon runner, I have benefited greatly from having private health insurance and being able to see the surgeon that I want to see at the time that I wanted to see him, so that on at least 4 occasions I could have the surgery and get back out there and running as quickly as possible. As a family, we have had 3 children, 2 of whom came via emergency cesarean, and it was such a blessing at that time to be able to have a little bit more space in the form of a private room, longer stays, and so on, which just made a joyful but difficult time just that little bit better. Now, whilst my wife and I have had private health insurance for the last 27 years and continue to have private health insurance, that is not my advice to my clients these days, particularly my younger clients. If you are okay at managing money, then having a private health insurance that is just hospital only and not the extras, and then putting aside a set amount every month, money you would have been paying in premiums, into a health account is a much better way to go, and ultimately it will save you a significant amount in premiums. This is a strategy that I'm going to talk more about in my video next week, so stay tuned for that, where I'm going to walk you through the exact strategy that I'm teaching my clients today. So let's just summarize. The first step in this process is to make sure that you're aware of the different government incentives around private health insurance. Now, as I said, some of these are carrots and some of these are sticks. The carrot in this equation is the government rebate on private health insurance premiums. How much do you earn and how much premium reduction are you eligible for? The second one is, how old are you and what does the lifetime health cover loading mean for you? And the last one is the Medicare levy. How much do you earn and are you likely to get hit with the Medicare surcharge levy? The second step in this process is to look at the pros and cons and figure out which side of the list has the most weight for you and your family. Is it being able to have elective surgery whenever you need it, or to be able to see the doctor or specialist of your choice whenever you want to see them? Or is it more the impact of the premiums on your budget every single month? Only you can decide this. And the third step in this process, should you decide to take on private health insurance, is to make sure that the policy you choose has the benefits that match your health needs and your age and stage of life, and that you're not paying more than you need for it. So I know that it's a very dry topic, but I hope this video has helped you get some clarity on whether private health insurance is right for you and your family. In the description below this video, you will see some links to the resources I shared with you earlier in this video. So please make sure you go down and have a look at those. If you are looking to take control of your finances, to get out of debt, to consistently save more money, and to create a life that you love for yourself and your family, then can I encourage you to hit the subscribe button now so that you can get easy access to the practical, life-changing financial education we release every single week. Now, hit the subscribe button. Next week, we're going to share with you the simple strategy that I use with all my clients to help them ensure that their healthcare costs are covered while keeping their private health insurance premiums as low as possible.